guys. Just wanted to let you know before the episode starts that we ran into some technical issues during this, things like Wi-Fi dropping and audio not syncing. So Justin's going to try his best to fix that in the edit. But if it's not up to our usual standards, I just wanted to let you know so that way it doesn't catch you off guard before you see that in the episode itself. So just want to make sure you all are aware. And yeah, on the episode.
Ow.
Oh!
All right. Okay.
That was so unnecessary.
All right. Welcome back to episode number 27 of the Washed Athlete podcast. Here at this podcast, we are just a group of friends talking about anything that's interesting to us, from TV shows to sports to the random things we get up to every single week, apparently. So this week, the big thing that we had was, if you follow us on Instagram, and if you're not, go give us a follow.
Go follow, link in the description.
Link in the description. You would see that we actually had a track event this week because Justin and Jacob were trying to see who the faster man is at the 400.
Who the fastest man alive is.
Fastest man alive. All right. Justin or Jacob, you can take it away from here because you guys were the main event.
Yeah, so we're going to take it all the way back to Chipotle on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday. I had just gotten done work it was Monday. The power was going to be out in my building from 6 p.m. that night to 7 a.m. So Jacob and I were getting some Chipotle because I wasn't going to be able to cook that night. And we were talking about how Andres and Jacob were supposed to run a mile race against each other. And I was like, well, Jacob and I were discussing like what events we would be most competitive at. I'm like, well, you haven't run in a while. I think the fair distance of race would be the 400. And he was like, but I would take myself in a 400. Like, I just have to. And I was like, I was like, I don't know. Like, I think that would be a fun race.
You have to.
So
You always have to.
So Jacob bet on himself, and then I kind of bet on me. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then we planned the 400-meter race. We're supposed to go off on Thursday, so like 2 days later, things changed. And then we ended up doing Sunday night. So it's interesting. Jacob hasn't been running since high school, and I've been running a lot, not sprints. I've never run like a 400 meter and not in a relay before sprinting, and I've also been injured. Haven't really done a lot of serious training since my marathon, so it was very interesting, like what would happen, because I don't think anyone knew what was going to happen. I think the early line was set on Jacob to win.
Yes, it was.
I think Peter, Raj, and Andres all voted for Jacob to win. I think if you were a betting man, that would have been the odds, but I guess we'll get into how that played out. But Jacob,
once we got there.
No. The Instagram, though. Yeah, the Instagram had you as the
because the Instagram
odds-on favorite.
Yeah, but the Instagram's a little biased because like we start multiple.
Not necessarily. Katie Curtis actually voted for me.
Yeah, but his mom, aunt,
Katie did vote for you because Katie texted me and said, respectfully, I'm voting for Jacob.
At least she said respectfully.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people on our Instagram kind of were like, okay, Justin, could we start episodes talking about how I run a little bit in college? And I think a lot of our viewers were like, oh, he's going to win, but without understanding the full scope of the difference between running a 1500 meter, 1600 meter versus a 400. I'm trying to see if I have the story up, but Jacob, what were your thoughts going into the race and how this whole thing unfolded?
So when we were talking about it, I was just like, I knew the debate was good, or what it was going to come down to was like, top end speed versus your endurance, because you clearly have enough endurance, like running wise, to compete in the 400, because it is like a sprint, but it's also like, it's an endurance test. So leading up to it, I always will have to take myself, because like if I'm not going to take myself, like, I'll probably, like, what's the point of even like competing? So you should always bet on yourself. Be realistic, but try to bet on yourself. But basically, I got to the track, and it looked like you were moving like a pretty decent speed in the warm up. So I was doing my warm up, you were doing your warm up. But I think what really surprised me is I knew you were gonna have good endurance. I just didn't know you were gonna be able to run that, like at that speed, like at all. Like I thought you were gonna be like not necessarily like significantly slower than that, but like not really that fast. And then when you were, and I had been looking up strategic ways to run the 400 because I knew I was going to be able to run it like in high school. It turned out that it didn't really work out because you were talking about like the positioning I was in before the race started. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised. You had pretty good speed. Like,
yeah.
really
so for context for our viewers, as a witness of said race, before the race even started, Justin is doing like full on like track warm ups where he like jogs the entire like 400 first. Then he's doing like the dynamic warm ups where he's like stretching, doing all this, like doing all this stuff. Jacob's just kind of like, first he was gonna walk the track. After he saw Justin jogging, then he starts jogging the track. Then he comes back and he's doing like,
that's cap.
That's absolutely not cap. You said I'm just gonna walk it first. Justin starts jogging and then you start jogging.
I asked you if you were gonna warm up.
First, I was gonna do it.
I asked you if you were gonna warm up, and then you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take a walk, real quick." And I like literally like put my bag down and just started jogging because I had walked the whole way to the track. It was like a little over a mile to get there.
Yeah. So and then the next stretch of warm ups, you were using a massage gun before the race. What are you massaging out? That doesn't even make sense.
I don't know.
He's doing static stretches, which if any listener was like an athlete, like you understand where it's like static stretches are supposed to be after you work out, and then it's dynamic stretches are before to really warm up either your like tendons or your muscles or your ligaments, whatever. It's just like get it going. Jacob's doing the exact opposite, but then eventually starts copying Justin. So
okay,
that's literally not cap.
I was totally doing
lying down on the ground doing like random static stretches.
That was not.
Justin is out here doing actual stuff. Then after that happens, you start doing like opening the gate like in like the weirdest way possible. Like it doesn't even make sense.
That was a weird way to open the gate.
That's private school opening the gate.
Literally.
So, Jacob, I had to tell you
I was
start doing dynamics. And then you did.
I was not just
you weren't just copying Justin.
I was not completely on the ground the entire time.
Bro, okay, first of all, and then
that's
not to
cap.
mention
That is cap.
No, because you were lying down right next to a soccer goal where two club soccer teams were playing a game and coming very close. And I said, Jacob, you should probably move. And you look over, look at me, and then don't say anything. Stay there as one of these players is streaking down the field, coming right at Jacob. And thank God he didn't get a piece of this ball, because if he did...
I didn't get hit once.
Dude, you would have gotten beamed by this thing. It was going fast, but this, like, because he kind of, like, the way he hit it, it just, like, didn't really go close to Jacob. But, like, if he went anywhere near him, you were getting hit by that thing, because you were right next to this goal.
I'd like to just say, I don't think that me stretching in one way or another really would have like changed the outcome.
Oh no,
I don't think so either. You lost by like 3.5 seconds.
So that's what I was about to say.
Like, I don't think it really matters that
what
much.
Changed my
perspective
that's what changed my perspective is when I could see Justin was like very prepared for this, like knew exactly what he was doing when it comes to running. And Jacob's kind of just doing whatever. And I was like, oh, Justin's going to smoke him. Like, this isn't even going to be close. And I was fully right.
Justin has been running. I mean, if you were to just bet on somebody, even though I've run the 400 before, I haven't like done that since literally high school. So like, I understand that it's like a brutal race, and like I have like a general understanding. I have an understanding for like good times, bad times, and all of that. But like, no, Justin has been training. Like, he might have not been training like that month, but like Justin has been running.
You can't even talk about top
even
speed,
if I'm betting.
You can't even talk about that. He was past you like before the first bend.
So actually, Peter, I was watching some. I knew Justin was going to be like he was going to have better endurance than me, and I knew like my top end speed.
Hold on, before I get to you, the fact that you watched the American record holder and one of the most famous track athletes of all time as your like way to run the 400 is hilarious to me. But you can.
It's like watching Steph Curry and being "Oh, I know how to shoot the basketball."
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't.
I watched him shoot, and I've got it down now.
So I was watching the way he ran the race, and I knew I wasn't going to have the endurance to compete with Justin. So I thought that if I come out the gate and I'm not running, I'm not like getting to my top speed off rip, that I'll have a better chance, like when it comes down to the like the final 100 meters. But like, so that's why Justin did, you know, he passed me up as soon as like basically the first curve. The evidence for me having higher top end speed is I won the 200. Like,
And we're
We're
not
not
there
there
yet.
Congrats,
yet.
Jake.
Jump the
I
gun.
did- I just
Don't
did.
jump the gun.
I just want to.
So
I gotta defend myself.
no, wait,
sometimes. I
It's
still
okay,
gotta
Jake.
defend
Wait.
myself. But
You beat a
anyway,
kid with asthma. Congrats.
Okay.
but anyways, so he gets out ahead of me, and I'm not like, by the end of the race, I wasn't like hunched over or anything. But I mean, it's still a very difficult race. But I got to like by the final 100 meters, I knew Justin's, like I was impressed with Justin's speed, and I had the feeling, okay, it's only 100 meters left. He's far enough ahead of me that I'm not like gonna be able to catch up to him. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So
So
otherwise known
Congratulations,
as
Justin.
Jacob got
Thanks.
smoked in the 400, and then Justin, being the competitor he is, literally immediately after this race ends, just goes, "Oh, so you want to run the 200?"
No,
No,
actually, that was my
no,
idea.
Oh, that was Jacob's
Jacob
idea. I must
Jacob
have
was
said
upset that he lost. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. So I get to the track right before this 400, and I'm there like 20 minutes early. I walked so I could get a little bit of a warm up without having to like run a lot, because I really should not be running on my injured hip. So I walk there to warm up, and then I do a little bit warm up. I see Jacob's, you guys, Peter, Raj, Jacob, and a couple other people are already there, and I'm like, wow. I did not expect Jacob to be here 20 minutes before, but he must be serious. Jacob's got the AirPods in. He seems locked in. Raj is wearing a suit and suit jacket and tie with cargo shorts on and slides with his Xbox headset on. I'm like, we're ready to go. And then we're warming up, whatever. And Jacob's doing his thing, whatnot. And I feel like absolute trash. I thought after I did my warm-up lap, I was like, there's a 0% chance I'm winning. I said in my previous interviews, I think people think I was joking. I thought I literally had like a 20% chance going into the day. And then after warm-ups, my heart rate would not come down from the warm-up. And I was like, I have a 0% chance of winning. I'm like, I'm going to get dogged out here. I'm going to run like a 65, and Jacob's going to run like a 58 or something. And it's going to be the blowout of century. It's going to be so embarrassing. I was so ready to like lose. I got on the line, fully prepared to get my ass handed to me. And within the first, and I said it in the post-race interview, and it sounded cocky, but it wasn't. I said I wasn't trying the first 200 meters because I came out of the blocks. So the blocks, we were like standing start, but I came out so fast. I caught Jacob because Jacob started in lane 5. If for people who don't know about track that much, the track it's 400 meters around, but the further you go out from the center, it gets longer. So when you do a 400 meter, which is one lap around the track,
Oh my god!
oh boy, Raj is sharing his screen. Oh great, okay.
Yes, we get the joke, Raj.
But when you do a 400 meter race, the farther lane you are out from the center, you have to go up a little bit. There's a new line. So Jacob is in lane 5. I'm in lane 4, which means Jacob has it's about 5 or so meters ahead of me on the start line. Now that distance will be made up for based on how much you have to run around the bends, but he's out in front of me. And I caught Jacob in about the first 30 meters. And at that moment, I started slowing down because I said, oh my God, I'm going to die. I went out so fast. I caught Jacob. I'm like, I'm going to get so tired in 10, 20, 30 meters, and I'm not going to be able to finish. So I started slowing down, and I slowly started to pull away from Jacob about at 200. And I was still not really pressing. So then when so Jacob was still within I don't know, a second of me at that point. And then I just ran the bend super, super hard. And then all I remember at the last bit is I'm pumping my arms, whatever. I hear Jacob yell at a bunch of people who were on the track in his lane. And then I just kept pumping my arms like a crazy person. And then I finished out in front. But I was wildly shocked. When I caught you, Jacob, so early on in the race, I was like, what's happening? But yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did have the warm-ups down, but that's because I warm up for track races pretty frequently.
No, if I had gone out of the blocks, blocks the way you did, by the 300 mark, I would have been in absolutely horrible shape. Like I would have fallen over after the race. Like it would have been horrible. So I knew that I couldn't be running it the same way I'd run in high school because I haven't been training to run, track. So like I thought that would work, but I just underestimated your speed. And then I thought your endurance was going to be there, and it was. I just underestimated your speed, to be honest. So
Yeah. And I will say before we go on to the next part of this story that I want to shout out Jacob's friend Jack, for betting his entire mortgage on Jacob.
The house on him.
And then bet the house on Jacob, talked all that trash, completely got smoked. Wasn't even close, got smoked. And then he decided, and we'll get into this, he doubled down. After the race had already happened, he doubled down on Jacob in the 200 meter, despite the fact that the 200 meter was not agreed upon. Well, it was agreed upon by me, but we'll get into this. I knew I had zero chance in the 200 meter. Like I was already coming down so much distance to run Jacob in the 400 meter. Like never, I don't sprint. I'm not remotely fast at all. And I came down all this distance to run against Jacob. And then we cut down the 200 meters. And so I guess we'll go into that. So we finish the 400 meters, right? I'm pretty gassed. I'm starting to untie my spikes, and Jacob's like 200 meters. And I'm like, sure. Like when? He's like 10 o'clock. I'm like, all right. Like I can do that. Like my ass is pretty like sore from this race. Like
12 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like my glutes are sore, my hamstrings are sore, but I was like, I can run this. I knew I was gonna get smoked. Like I knew that I stood zero chance in the 200, but I was like, I'll run it. See how it goes. So we rest, whatever. And I just have to say, Jacob, you winning the 200 was so Mickey Mouse.
How?
Because that wasn't even like, that's not even close to the distance I run. Like,
well,
that,
I
like,
knew I was going to win. That's why I'm not talking like, oh yeah, I won the 200. I should have won the 200.
He was just
like,
proving a point.
I know I should have won
He was
the
just
200.
proving that it's like, I just am fast. I have no endurance.
Yeah, top end speed. I know I beat you in that. I just couldn't beat you endurance wise, and that's why I would lose the 400 to you right now. But going to the 200, it was like, oh, the 200.
I wish I could have gone back because there were things I did in that race. I was like, if I changed that little thing I did, I was like, I don't think I would have beat you, but I could have been like close, and that would have been fun.
In the 200.
Yeah.
Let me get some spikes back. Let me get some spikes up here.
Oh no, you get spikes all over. I'm saying in that exact situation. So I started in a down start position because I thought, I was like, I watched a bunch of professional track and field. I've watched enough track and field. I'll like be able to like get out of the blocks faster than a standing start, despite the fact that I don't practice starts. I got an awful start. I was already like 5 meters behind, just like off the break because I just couldn't get out fast. And then like, I don't know. I was paying too much attention to Jacob when I was running, and I like scuffed my foot like about like 70 meters in. Like I didn't like plant it on the ground correctly. I just like kind of slid it across the surface of the track, and it like slowed a bunch of my momentum down. That's not like those aren't excuses. That's because I'm actually just like a bad sprinter. That's why those mistakes happen. It's not like oh, like that was just unfortunate. No, like it's just because I'm trash. But I was like, if I like had cleaned those up, I was like, I don't think I would have beat you, but I think I would have been like close. So yeah, and Jacob reaches me to a 200 after the 400, takes the dub.
Yeah, I mean, I knew, towards the end of the race, I pointed at Peter.
I wasn't even looking. I hate
because,
bro, you didn't point.
That's perfectly fine. I was like, but I did. No, I did. I
literally
did.
just I was looking down at the ground. I was like, where are they even supposed to finish? Because I have no idea where the finish line even is. As he's like, because as you told me later, you were pointing at me, and then like I look up and he's like crossing. I'm like, oh, there we go.
So yeah, shout out to Jack though, because I mean, I guess he's just a loyal friend. If he's going to be betting on me, betting the mortgage and then betting
mortgage.
You can't do that because he already lost the mortgage. You can't bet something you don't have.
It's the thought of
if the house
shout out Jack
bet at the casino, then put the house back on the table, and then they lost it. Then he did win it back. In fact, so he's at a neutral ground. Shout out.
I'm going to double the house that I already lost.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, I mean, I thought that I wasn't going to be getting down into like into like an actual sprinter stance because I had tennis shoes on. But I knew that basically pass up that curve and then just like I'm just gonna have to run. Like it's not. I mean, there's not much to it really. I mean, it's just running at 200. The endurance wise, you should be able to hold it together for 200 meters. So I was still impressed with your speed, Justin. You're a lot faster than I thought you were gonna be. So yeah,
I appreciate
that's
it.
basically
I'm not very fast, but I'll take the compliment. But we need to talk about
I hate
what happened
running.
post 200-meter race. And Jacob, I could do this on the podcast today, but can you detail what happened to you after the 200 meters?
So I was tired. I
Yeah.
was pretty tired. I was laying down on the ground. And I had to go take some
Yeah.
time for myself.
Okay.
What
So
did that
what
include?
he's trying to say. So for context, Jacob wins the race. Justin comes in afterwards. We're all kind of just talking, whatever. And then I'm standing near Jacob. I think Raj, a couple of our friends, and Justin, they start walking down to the triple jump area. That's kind of over there because it's it's cool. We're just gonna look at what the triple jump is, whatever. Because I think we were having a conversation about that. And I look back, Jacob is still lying down on the ground, and he's dead silent. And I was like, "You okay?" And he's like, I'm good." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yep, I'm good." I'm like, "Okay." And then everybody starts kind of walking down further towards the area. And then I look back and I'm like, "Are you sure you're good?" And then he looks at me and just looks me in the eyes, and I go, "You're gonna puke, aren't you?" And he doesn't say anything. And he's like, No, I'm good." And then I'm just like, "Okay." And then I walk away. And then as I'm walking down to the triple jump area, I look back and Jacob is walking towards the bushes in the corner. And I'm like, "Oh,
Just
yep."
beeline.
He's just, it wasn't anything fast. It was just a very controlled walk because he's trying not to puke his brains out before he gets to the tree line. And then he got to the tree line and did the deed for a while.
Yeah. You were dry
Yeah.
heaving. So,
Yeah.
who really won the day, Jacob? You or Justin?
I think the viewers won.
Very
the day.
true.
I think we put
Good
out
You know
a
answer.
show
what?
for
That
the
is a
viewers.
Good answer.
So
That is a beautiful takeaway.
that's it. Thank you.
I will
I think the
say-
viewers had to, probably enjoyed their time.
Yeah, I will say for everyone listening, if it's not made clear at this point, Jacob and I have literally no beef. This 400-meter was just for a little bit of fun. So, and also us making jokes about Jacob vomiting is also an all good fun. So, no, there's
That
no
look where
no,
you just, oh my God.
I was just too tired after
I would recognize that stare anywhere because it's you fighting for your life but just trying not to show that, and it's oh buddy, oh boy.
Yeah. It was a tough look.
Indeed it was.
I feel like maybe I went neutral on pride wise because I did win, so I got some of my pride back, but then I also lost some pride.
You won
so
an
maybe
event you should have won.
Net
It's a
loss.
net
Net loss on the night. But oh well. Peter, Raj, and then Andres, if you're listening, you're gonna have to be part
Do you
of
think
the
I
next
run?
track event for
I will do a
Wash athletes.
5-yard.
Doesn't matter.
I will do a 5-yard dash.
We could do the 40.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll
We
do
could
a
do
Doesn't
40.
matter.
I'll do 40.
Doesn't matter.
What I
Okay.
would like
40?
to see is
You
if
can do
people
100 meters.
What describe what that is to me.
Yeah,
I have
how
no
far
idea,
is that?
100
One
meters.
straightaway
That's
on the
just
track.
one
Oh, it's just a straightaway?
Or a curve. A
All right,
straightaway or a
word.
curve.
I'm gonna eat the. What's the track made out of?
Mondo.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat
Wait,
that.
say that again?
I was gonna say I'm gonna eat.
I think it's called
Mondo?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna eat
made out of
Mondo.
Mondo. Yeah.
I have
No.
never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, I don't like saying that. I'm gonna eat concrete. That sounds a lot better.
I'm gonna eat.
Should take some compound V.
Oh my
Yeah,
How
that
about
pre-workout definitely was compound B, right, Jacob?
Of course, because we live in the
Yep,
boys'
definitely.
universe. Shout out to Justin for watching the boys. Very proud. It's an amazing show.
It's so good.
I feel like I'm gonna say something here. I feel like I'm getting a lot of crap for not watching The Boys, and like you guys started watching it like I don't know, like a month or two before me, and I just was a little late to the party because I was preoccupied watching other things. And then first opportunity I start watching it, season 1 done in 2 days. So I feel like Jacob's giving me some condescending. I'm proud of him for watching it. I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate the shade.
No, I like that you're watching. No, I like that you are watching the show. I love The Boys. I've said it already. Probably definitely my favorite superhero. Arguably one of my favorite shows of all time. So no, happy that you're watching the show legitimately, because then we can talk. Maybe we can have The Boys extra cycle if the viewers like that. Yeah, and you got to watch that or listen to that thing on Audible. The full interview. It's actually
I'm really excited for that.
It's hilarious.
The G cracks me up. But I think segueing off of the 400 meter race.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of a delay on our audio, so I hope anybody listening is I hope it's not bad. But I think right now we're going to segue into something different, because today I was watching the video. It is about Harry Potter and what if Harry Potter got sorted into. All right, actually, Peter or someone else can take over. I'm gonna come back in and come back out to fix this issue. Hold on one second.
Okay, so he was probably watching a video on Harry Potter. And it's like a what if thing, probably on like if Harry Potter did not get sorted into like Gryffindor.
Oh. Okay.
So I think he was trying to segue into like
sense.
That's like a major like inflection point in Harry's life, like just like Marvel's What If series. Like, what if this event didn't happen? That could change the course of everyone's life. So I think what he was trying to like get at is, what is that one point in our lives where it's like, if one thing was done differently, where would we end up? And
right. Okay.
How would that butterfly effect like change us? And,
Okay.
like, I have a pretty solid one for this one, and I'm not beating the ACL, guys. Don't worry.
Thank God.
Yeah, if you hadn't torn your ACL, you would be the starting.
Yeah, you're right. If I did tear my ACL, I would have gone to the NFL. If it wasn't for that damn turf.
Well, do you want to just do whatever yours was?
Yeah, I'll start.
Go for it.
So this takes us back to senior year of high school when deciding between what college I wanted to go to. And it ended up being Rutgers University, the great state university of New Jersey, versus the University of Pittsburgh. And I chose Pitt, obviously. But in another universe, I might have gone to Rutgers. And I'm just thinking how different my life may be if I ended up going to Rutgers. Because 1, I'd be stuck in Jersey.
Yep.
2, I'd be in New Brunswick. 3, I'd be at Rutgers. And that in itself is enough for me not to want to do it. Especially after hearing all my friends who go there about, like, they complain so much about it. I'm like, looks like I really dodged a bullet not going there, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I really like being in Pittsburgh and, like, the area overall. So it's, like, kind of crazy to think, like, wow, there's probably another universe if the multiverse theory is true where I would be a student at Rutgers University, and maybe Justin would have too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Justin? Oh, you're
all right.
alive.
I'm hoping you're seeing. I think the viewers are getting a little bit of issues here with the recording, but I hope that everything is recording smooth, because based on the timer I have at the bottom of my screen, it might not be. But we will.
Your audio.
Well, I hope
now.
so, but I'm wondering if what you just talked about is not going to be recorded. But anyway, Raj talked about one of his inflection points, and the reason I got thinking about this is I was watching a video on YouTube about.
I explained that
about Harry Potter. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So, yep, and it was like this one minute detail,
house.
like,
yeah,
what if I think it was like on the train he didn't hear about how bad Slytherin was, so he didn't ask the sorting hat to change. So that's how I started thinking about this. Raj, you obviously chose the most basic example ever. What if I chose a different college? Whoop-de-doo.
You know what? Fine. I'll
Good. Let's
change
go.
it.
I want to hear it.
Fine. What if me and Andres never lived in towers?
That's another basic example.
Oh, true.
Wow.
How is that basic?
It is. It's like
Yeah, I guess
predictable,
that's
I
fair.
guess.
What if
I mean, mine's
what
mine
if I
aren't
never
gonna be
played
that much different,
Xbox?
but
You wouldn't exist.
What if I chose PlayStation over Xbox?
Yeah.
No,
What if-
things have changed.
What if I just didn't play video games and I actually focused on the important stuff?
Oh my god, not possible.
You're right.
There's no multiverse where that is.
yeah.
What if I never got into lifting? What would my
No, but see,
personality be?
you're choosing two.
I have
You're
no
choosing
idea.
what?
I feel like it would be that.
Oh man, are we having audio delay again? Oh, nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, someone else just keep talking.
Mhm.
Are you trying to say like choose a smaller
Correct.
detail?
Yes. Yeah.
I actually have one that's almost identical
Okay.
to Harry Potter's. So, when I moved down to New Orleans in 7th grade, I was going on tours.
Is it what if I didn't go
Yeah,
to
Raj.
private school? I'm sorry, I had to. Keep
No.
going.
Oh my god.
Keep going.
It's not. It's not. It's not. So I was touring two different. I toured two different schools, and I toured one school, and then kids at that one school told me not to go and tour the other school. I actually didn't like it, but I also had the influence of the what the kids had told me. So I'm kind of curious what would happen if I toured the first school first and the second school second, because my entire friend group back home would have been likely extremely different. You know, and I'm really close with them. So I'm just kind of curious how that all would have played out. And then I guess kind of like Raj, like there was one other school I was really considering getting or going to, and they just were late on getting back to me for school, or for college. So I got already committed to Pitt. I liked Pitt, so I
Was this
decided
the
to go to Pitt.
University
Yes,
of
Raj.
Alabama?
No,
What?
no. Bama, you'll get your notification about Bama early. Like, come on, no, it's early.
So what school was it?
Well, I'll choose to leave out
that's
the
all
name
a
of the school.
doctor
Take us
school.
an NDA.
Was it Penn State?
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it was.
no, but yeah, I mean, no, I heard back from Bama like fairly early. And I mean, Bama was like cool. It would have been cool, but I just don't think I would have fit in at Bama. So I decided not to go to Bama. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious what it would be like, because I do know some people over at that school, the school I didn't go to.
Cool.
So I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious what it would have played out like. I wouldn't have been on the podcast if I had gone to another school. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be wearing this shirt. It's a football shirt from my high school. So yeah,
Um,
that's it.
So my inflection point is actually, it's kind of an interesting one. So for context, when I was a sophomore in high school, I wanted to join my town's emergency squad. To do that, you have to go through your EMT class, and then after you do that, they do ask you, because it's such a time commitment, that if you are playing sports in high school, that you only choose one sport. Or for track athletes, it's kind of fine because I'm not trying to dog on track as much, but it's not as much as like a time investment, because it's like, yeah, you'll have your meets every once in a while, but like those aren't like as crazy. Or it's like practices are like you just go run for a while and then like come back. Versus like the two sports I was playing are probably some of the most intensive sports you could play. I was playing football and lacrosse at the time. So at that point, I was a sophomore by this point. So I had already played my sophomore season of football. I did end up starting my sophomore year
Big guy.
on varsity. So I was already playing there. And then, yeah.
Yeah, you had to add
No,
the
because
on-varsity part.
it does actually pertain to this, because then for lacrosse, I actually was taking my EMT class during the school year while playing lacrosse. And even though I was like barely showing up to like practices and stuff, because I was just like going to EMT class instead, whenever I showed up, the JV coach would always put me in and like have me start whatever. So I was always playing in lacrosse too. And basically it came down, like once I got certified, it was like, all right, you got to make a decision between football and lacrosse. Like you got to choose which one do you want to play. And for me, I had been playing both sports for a long time. I started playing lacrosse when I was in 3rd grade. Started like picking up the stick, throwing it around. And I started football when I was in 5th grade, I think. That's when they let us start playing. Yeah, it was 5th grade. Is when we started that. And so I've been playing each for like nearly 10 years at this point. And I ended up choosing football because that was like my passion. Like I always wanted to play football. I absolutely loved it, even though I did absolutely love lacrosse too. And the thing is about this point is that if I had chose lacrosse over football, then instead of going down the path that I ended up now, I actually might have gone down a very different path because I also played the club lacrosse over the summers, and at some of those tournaments and stuff, they would have college scouts that were kind of just like there, like watching some of the games and stuff. And I had a couple, and there's also this like weird like account thing that you can make for like scouts to like reach out to you, whatever. And I did have a couple scouts like reach out to me about that. So if I had continued with lacrosse, I may or may not have ended up playing lacrosse in college, which would change my trajectory greatly because I had not offers, but like scouts from places like Penn State. I think LSU was trying to start up a program, but they weren't like big lacrosse. No, I know that's where
Jacob's face.
That's where I'm getting to, because the schools that were reaching out to me, obviously, like I was decent at lacrosse. I wasn't that good. Like I'm fully self-aware. I was fine. I was a decent defender, whatever. I wasn't an idiot, but I wasn't the best. So the programs that were offering stuff to me, or at least showing interest, were much smaller lacrosse schools, not really actually known for that. And the reason why I think I might have ended up playing is because actually the year after I had dropped lacrosse for football, my team actually went on to win states that year. So a lot of those guys ended up going to school for lacrosse, a decent amount of them. So I think if I had been like that invested in it and I kept like on the path that I was going on, I probably would have ended up somewhere else, possibly playing lacrosse, because like that would have been something that's like, oh, if I'm good enough, I'm getting actual like people that are interested in me, like they would be able to pay for school and stuff like that. Like that would have been a much bigger option for me. Versus in football, where it's like, yeah, you know, our team's like 3-7, and of course it's like, oh, what schools do you want to go to? Oh, Pitt, Clemson, Virginia Tech. It's like, oh, you try to walk on there. No shot. There's absolutely no shot I am even stepping foot on one of those practice fields ever. So yeah, that's, I think, was kind of like a big like splitting point for me, because it's just because like, hey, I liked football more growing up because I thought Victor Cruz was cool. So that's why I ended up
dancing,
liking football more, and then that's what set me exactly salsa dancing in the end zone. Like that guy made me love football, so that kind of sent me down this path.
That's a good one. I like that one. I hope my audio.
What about you,
Justin?
Justin?
My audio is good. I can already see the delay, but we're gonna roll with it. So I have two that I put down, and I'm gonna go with the first one first. So in 5th grade, I was in student council in middle school, and we had exactly.
Going?
So
what kind of butterfly effect?
Just wait for it, right? So we had an election for the position of second vice president. So this would be the person under the vice president, which is already under the president. Yeah.
Whoa.
Wild stuff, right? Yes.
Speaking
And it was a very
the
popular
vice
position for 5th graders to run for. So our school was 5th to 8th grade, and a lot of 5th graders would run to be second vice president for their 6th grade year. And at this point, all 5th graders aren't in a homeroom. We had a specific student council homeroom that would do like a bunch of student council activities, and being in the student council homeroom was like it. Like if you were in it, like you were involved in student council, like to an extent, right? So I run for second vice president, and turns out I lose. So like I'm crying in the club, right? Like we're upset about taking an L to the second vice president, right? But I get an offer to be in the student council homeroom, which was honestly like the goal. So whatever, I go on. After that, I ran for treasurer and I won, and then I ended up being the president of our middle school student council. And I did, yeah.
Whoa,
and then
guy.
Okay, whoa,
Big
Mr.
guy.
President,
be
I'm sorry.
sorry. Yep. And
Better
then,
than starting on
and then
So much
because
better.
of that like experience, I ended up doing student council in high school, and then I was vice president of student council when I graduated my senior year. So my big thing is, if I lose the second vice president election, right, but I don't get invited to the student council homeroom, I don't think I rejoin student council next year as like a basic like homeroom representative, meaning I don't do student council during Siri just popped off. And then I think I don't join student council for the rest of middle school, which means I don't join student council in high school, which means I never like get any type of leadership experience. Therefore, I don't think I ever become a resident assistant at college. Therefore, I think in the future it would weaken any application or any really nice experience that I've had over the last couple of years. Therefore, I would be in a lot different place right now than I'm there. Not that I would be like a completely different person, but I do think my experiences would have changed. And who knows, if I didn't join student council, I might have not gotten like the leadership experience necessary to like realize that I wanted to like go away from home and that I wouldn't have gone to Pitt or like and stuff like that. So I don't know if it would have changed like my personality, but I think it would have affected a lot of life decisions I did, because student council was like my main way of like connecting, like growing as a person, especially in like middle school and high school. So I think if I didn't get the offer for the student council homeroom after losing my second vice president election, I think my life would be quite different.
Did you just read us your med school personal
No.
statement?
Oh, shut up.
My med school
Okay.
personal statement's a lot better than that.
After hearing that, I've changed one of my. I've changed.
What happens if I'm never born in Pittsburgh?
So
He wasn't born in Pittsburgh. It was York.
that is not it. Actually, that is not it. You guys won't be
He
expecting.
was born in
this one.
Pittsburgh.
Oh, what?
No, I was born in Pitt. I was born in McGee.
Mark was born at McGee.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Moving
Oh,
on.
really? Are we okay? Yeah. So I did Taekwondo when I was 4 until the 10th grade.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit, I can't talk. I did
So,
for a while too. Never mind.
I eventually, like when I got to 10th grade, school was ramping up, and I was also on the football team, so it was a big commitment. And Taekwondo would be going year round, so I would be doing like football and Taekwondo. And it got to the point where I was just like, okay, I don't want to, like, I'm gonna have to like choose between one of them. And I like football as a sport more than Taekwondo. I mean, it was just like a cool part. Like, it was cool to be part of the team. So I decided to quit Taekwondo and just strictly do football and school and then whatever I would do in the summer. So what I'm curious what would happen is if I either stuck to doing both or if I had stopped doing football.
I could
and
not
Taekwondo.
imagine.
So
I could
what, you're
not,
just
I
about
could
to
not
like, what
imagine
the
you
hell
doing
is
that?
Taekwondo like full time.
Dude, you'd be nasty at Taekwondo, though. You gotta reach, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess technically I'm copying you, Pete, but it's the structure of the story. But I'm kind of curious what would have happened because I don't even talk about having done Taekwondo that frequently. Because I did it it's been a while since I've done it. And I did enjoy it.
Definitely, there is absolutely a picture of me in my Taekwondo uniform that is in a picture frame at my house. It's like me from when I was like maybe 6 or something like that. I'm holding like nunchucks and stuff. It's like, it is an all-time picture. I'll see if I can like get a picture of it, but it is so funny.
That's awesome.
It's so funny. Yeah.
My other what if scenario is like another sports related one, but I think if I didn't join, it's another like butterfly effect kind of thing. So I think if I didn't, so after my freshman year of high school, during my freshman year of high school, I had a choice to make. I could either join a club soccer team for the spring season and play club soccer spring, some summer, and then play high school soccer again in the fall, or I could do track and like just train, like get in shape during track season for soccer. And I ended up choosing track. And I think if I had chosen to do club soccer, I may have tricked myself into thinking that I was a better soccer player than I really was. Therefore, I probably would have gone to some D3 school to play soccer because I would have committed so many years and so many seasons to the sport of soccer. Therefore, I would not have gone to Pitt. I would have gone to a D3 school where I wouldn't have had the opportunity to succeed like I did here. I probably would have chosen a different major so I wouldn't have to spend as much time studying while I was playing soccer. I would have never made it playing soccer. I was never good enough. And then, yeah, I would be doing a different job. I'd probably be like a history teacher who played soccer for 4 years at like a D3 college.
You'd be such a good history teacher.
I know.
You would be such a good history teacher.
And then, yeah, I'd probably be a history teacher somewhere who played like D3 soccer at college, maybe coaching like the soccer team in high school. All because I decided to not run track, which taught me a lot about discipline and exercising on your own and being self-motivated. So, yeah.
Amazing. Truly incredible.
Okay. One quick one. What if I decided to not be
Well,
roommates with you, Justin?
Damn, we would have never
Not
met.
roommates with
Okay,
you.
ready for this, right?
That would have changed.
We're not roommates. So what happens is, while walking down the street one day, you say, "Wow, Justin, that's a really cool Star Wars pin you have on your backpack." And I'd be like, "Wow, Jacob, thanks." And then we
would
would
know
have.
your name.
That's not the point. The point is, he would have been like, "Yo, that's a really cool. That's a really cool Star Wars pin on your bag." And I would have been like, "Yeah." And then we would adapt each other up. And I would have been like, "Yeah, like girlfriend's mom got it for me." And he would have been like, "That's kind of dope. Like we should go like get lunch." I'd be like, "Yeah, we should get lunch." And then we would have talked exactly about what our Facebook post had said. And then we would have been like, "Wow, you're really cool. We should totally like hang out more, right?"
Yeah.
And then
Make out. What?
yeah, we should totally make out. And then and then Jacob would have been like,
My
"Yo,
goodness.
I know these pretty cool guys who live on floor 8. You should totally come out and hang out with us." And I would have been like, "Bet, bro." And then I would have avoided hanging out with people for a couple months. And then Jacob would have finally been like,
Well,
Yeah.
no,
Well-
plot hole. There's a plot hole because if I hadn't lived with you, you decided to be in the
Health science,
Tower A.
Jacob wouldn't have been in
Health
Towers.
Science LLC. So I wouldn't have. I probably would have been in Towers. I would have probably been somewhere else, or at least on a different floor. So I might have never met Raj, Andres, and Peter. So through that, we might,
Okay,
we
so
might have
ready?
only
Hear
met
me
Raj
out,
through like
right?
class or something like that.
"I meet Raj
Here we
in
go.
biology too."
Yes.
And then
Yes,
through
no,
Raj,
I was about
I
to say
meet
that.
Andres. And then conveniently,
Yeah.
Andres,
So it's like the opposite.
Andres
yes.
and Jacob are in the same Spanish class. So then that's how
Yes.
we all meet. So really,
Yeah.
the Washed Athlete podcast
That
exists, but at
still
the core
probably
of
would
it
happen, yeah.
is Raj and Justin being in biology too.
Yeah,
What are the plot holes?
there are still some plot holes to this, but no, that's. Well, I only decided to be in that Spanish class with Andres because I
Gee,
knew it
damn
was
it.
going to be with him and then one of our friends. So I could have
Okay,
chosen
hear
a
me
different
out.
You
Spanish
could
class.
have, or you could have not.
I could have.
remain
don't know
I
if
remain
will.
in Tower A because I'm part of the Health Science LLC,
True.
which I never applied for, but I was in it. So let's just say you're not in Tower A, I'm in Tower A, right? I still compliment Peter about his Crocs in the elevator one day. But instead of being like, "Thanks,"
that's a good one.
he's, instead of saying thanks, he
Yeah.
says, "Hey, bro, I've got some cool friends on floor 8. You should come
That's such
hang
a
out
specific
sometime,"
thing,
right? And then we're not friends with you, Jacob, right?
Yes.
You're not in the picture. It's just the 4 of us running a podcast on our own, right? But here's where it gets interesting.
You are the,
Because-
oh my god.
Because you added a lot of people on Snapchat from the Facebook post, I assume, you end up hearing about the podcast and you're like, "Wow, these guys are really cool. Like Peter, Justin, Andres, Raj, like cool 4-person podcast." And you come on as a guest of the podcast and it turns into a full-time gig.
Wow.
Wow. You know what? Just because I'm impressed with how you've been able to come up with these stories. Like,
Yes.
And
right
at the
off
core of
bat,
it, it comes from
I'm
you
gonna say that'll
complimenting
work
Peter
out.
on his
There you
Crocs
go.
in the elevator one day.
And because butterfly effect, because we don't know Jacob, I'm looking for more friends.
This is
There we
great.
go.
I love this.
That's absolutely crazy. Like, it's also such a specific thing that you like came up with as like the
Yeah.
way that you would have
Yes.
met. Like,
I think I never met
Peter.
Andres until
and then the rest of us.
I never met Andres
through
or
that.
Raj until
Wow.
I was introduced, but I had met Peter in the elevator when I complimented him on his Crocs.
That's so funny. That's still so funny.
Yes, that actually happened.
Yes,
Honestly,
that's like actually
That actually happened.
because what he said
My
was, it was
go-to-
like,
Oh,
instead
okay,
of me just
okay.
saying thanks, it would be me like actually breaking the ice.
Dude, you're missing out the MCU, the MCU
Oh,
tunnel,
okay.
whatever it's called.
The pipeline,
No,
the
whatever.
pipeline.
MCU
Just canon
pipeline.
being-
Oh, met through. Never mind.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's the big man on
Yeah,
campus.
somehow.
Every single human being I have ever met.
Yeah.
Dude,
no,
we do.
no.
We need to have a
Dude.
podcast
Oh
one
my
time,
God.
like legitimately. We
Listen,
need
have
to.
him
We so
apply.
need to.
Have him apply to the pod.
Yeah,
We
we
love
totally
Jerry.
do. God, that man just like he is just everywhere at all times. Like no matter where I go, like somehow he's just gonna be there because he just knows all. Like he's like a watcher. He's just like always like pulling the strings. Like just knows everybody. It's so funny.
He's just like
He's
whenever
there.
there's something that
Yeah,
crazy
he's
would happen,
right
he
there.
would just happen to be
Yeah,
there. Or, like,
exactly.
he would have
He's like
some
either in
role
the
in it
background or at
somehow.
the front.
Yeah.
Like there's no between.
It's yeah,
God.
absolute legend. Shout out.
Moving on from this little inflection point talk in our friend. What are your thoughts on the NFL training camp and like just like having the open practices?
Okay, that,
Jacob,
I'm sorry,
we
Raj. That was the worst.
I know, that was
transition I have
terrible.
ever heard.
I
in my
don't
life.
care.
That was
I
like terrible.
do not
Just
Just
said,
care.
like,
I do not
okay,
care.
Oh my
moving on. Like,
gosh.
we have another thing we want to talk about. NFL training camp.
I do not care. NFL training camp.
Your tone of voice could have been a little bit better. You sounded like a robot. You sounded like you were uninterested
Justin
in the
said.
topic entirely.
I give up my control.
All
for
right,
one day.
so Raj, let's try that again.
I can talk about training
Raj,
camp, though.
Okay. Okay, Raj. Just say NFL training camp, and we'll go from there.
Training camp.
Hey, all right. Yeah. So Jacob,
yeah.
how are the Steelers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to NFL. I've been to the training camp. I've been to Steelers training camp twice. I went on the first. I want to say it was a Wednesday that they had camp, and it was cool. It was a cool experience. And I also went on the Friday. There were a lot of people on Friday, probably because they were free. Or yeah, I want to say it was Friday. But anyways, Wednesday, I'm not getting a
Here we
whole
go
lot of,
again.
I'm trying to get some signatures
Oh my
from
God.
some Steelers players.
Are you gonna fight some kids?
Justin? Okay. No, I was trying to get some signatures from some Steelers players who had previously played at Alabama, as I said, and there was one cool, and I didn't get them at the beginning of practice, but there's a cool moment where I was just standing there on my phone, and then I saw Mike Tomlin just walking down the hill right next to me, and I was like, wow, like that's Mike Tomlin. But the second time was also pretty cool. I got a lot of signatures, including TJ Watt, which was really cool. But there's been a lot of news about like NFL training camp, which has been like pretty interesting. Seeing like George
got that
Pickens
dog
getting
in
a
him.
whole lot of like coverage like on the Steelers side of things. Really, for real. Like for real. But yeah, I mean, it's just been kind of interesting. I've
The
been
dude
seeing
on the
like, a lot
stage.
about the Steelers. I've been seeing
Yeah,
Evan
a little
Neal's
bit.
been getting
Yeah,
dogged a
Thibodeau.
little bit.
Apparently, he is
by
an
Kayvon
absolute
Thibodeau.
menace on the D line. For the Giants, by the way, this is a different team. But yeah,
Yeah.
apparently, well, he did switch over to 73, so hopefully it's going to be like Jordan getting back to his number. He's going to be coming back into his prime. Like,
Yeah. 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 I mean, he played left tackle last season too, so I think maybe he's going to have to like somewhat adjust, but I mean, he's also played right tackle like while he's at Bama, so I think he should be able to return, like regain or get back
All
to
right,
his
I'm a
form.
hope-
So, yeah.
The dude
What
on
do you
the
guys think
Saints
about it?
fighting
Yeah.
people.
back.
Trevor Penning has been super weird. I hope everyone can hear me. My Wi-Fi has been awful this pod recording. Never had before, but we're gonna keep trying to roll here. Reason I brought this topic up is because I think training camp is super weird, right? You've got people like, oh, who's on the first team? Who's getting reps? Like, oh, this person's getting a lot of like first team reps, second team reps, and it's like it is practice. It's really like the way that we overanalyze it. Like I know Miles Sanders for the Eagles, right? He like getting a lot of second team reps. And everyone's like, oh man, like why is Miles Sanders getting second team reps? Like Nick Sirianni doesn't like him. And then Nick Sirianni comes down and is like, no, Miles is RB1. Like this is how we rotate our running backs. And it's like, oh, cool. And then you go, and then you're like, oh man, like AJ Brown not getting a lot of separation in training camp. And it's like, oh. And then Nick Sirianni's like, no, like we're just not like working him through all this routes. So it's just like, I don't know. Training camp's weird. Jacob, what's up?
Yeah, so two quick things actually.
We
One,
know.
I hate Miles Sanders because of fantasy. He's horrible at fantasy. You guys should not like him to an extent because he played at Penn State.
Why
But
did you
Go
say
Birds.
yeah,
I was
But,
discussing how it kind of cancels out. Eagles
No,
Penn State.
Eagles takes precedence.
Well, yeah, he does suck.
and he sucks in fantasy. He's like one of the
Except
most.
against the Giants. He
He's
will
like
dog
one of
walk
the most
Giants
consistently
any chance he
disappointing
gets.
running
He
backs
turns
in
into
fantasy.
Barry Sanders when he plays against us. It's absurd.
That's tough. That is really tough. And who was the guy that was I'm talking about? Like when
Alan
you guys
Iverson.
talked about practice. Who said
We're
that?
talking
When
about
said
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
When you were talking about like how they open.
This.
Okay, Allen Iverson. Okay. Yeah.
No, so I just think the
that's just
concept.
what came to
That's
mind.
the concept
Yeah,
of
you
like
continue.
training
Whatever
camp,
you're
like
saying.
where you're pretty much doing practice, being like overanalyzed by the media is like super interesting. Like imagine like you're going through like you're getting ready for the season, you're workshopping certain things. You have people who haven't really played like a real speed snap since like the last year, and everyone's like super analyzing. Like you just hear, I feel like I hear always so much buzz about certain players. I have heard that Jalen Hurts does not look good. In the training camp, I've heard other quarterbacks don't look good. I've been hearing Trey Lance looks bad in practice for the past 2 years. And like I'm just always like, I just think it's very like almost unfair to the athletes, and I didn't make a lot of money off people coming to training camp and like getting like people excited for the season, but like it's totally unfair to the athletes because like you're in practice. Eagles player Jordan Davis, there was viral clip of him dogging
walking,
Cam
like,
Jurgens.
literally.
Dog walking Cam Jurgens from Nebraska. He's our new center that we just got to replace Jason Kelsey when he retires. And Jordan Davis even came out and he goes, he says, I hate that the clip went viral. This is practice. Cam has gotten me on many occasions. And it's like, you're right. Like, this is practice. Like, yeah, you might have gotten Cam on that rep, but then you got this vile clip of Jordan Davis, like, dogging a center. And, like, it could mean a lot for the season. It could mean very little. But, like, just the idea that those little moments can create such, like, big cascades across the media is, like, crazy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Justin, because like there's been plenty of clips where it's like it's very reactionary, I feel like, with like how the sports media kind of treat this, where it's like one player will make like a mistake in practice, which is what it is for, and they're like, this is the worst player to ever step foot on a football field. Why are they even here? They should just quit. It's the worst thing we've ever seen. And that's like with Daniel Jones. I'm not saying he's a good quarterback. Let me preface this. He's not. All right? He's not.
Go check out our NFL
he is
QB
the
tiers.
worst
He's
the worst player
in
to
our,
ever step
Instagram.
foot on.
But my thing is like he can throw good passes for the entire period and no one will say anything. And then it's like he misses a pass because there's like a miscommunication. And it's like he's terrible. He's so unbelievably bad. Or it's like a defender will make like an amazing play. Like one of our it's our nickel corner. I think it's Jordan Love. He like dove in front of a pass to like intercept it out of the air, and everyone's like, Daniel Jones is terrible. It's like the guy just made a good play, and it's practice. They're reading the plays. There's only so many that they're going to be doing. They're going to catch on eventually. Like it's crazy to me. Where it's like, guys, chill out. Like let's wait for the actual season to come around to actually see. All right, you know what? You got one Super Bowl win in the past. Like, I mean, like honestly, yes, that is a very accurate description. But I don't even know what the hell the context of that clip even is. Like, I don't even know what's
To all of our
happening.
audio,
I just want to know
to
what
all of our
happened.
audio listeners, Raj just
Yeah.
put up like a meme, a really out of context Giants meme.
It's like some player like picking somebody up because he's like joking. He's like jokingly like, "Oh, I'm dead," whatever. And someone's getting picked up, and Daniel Jones is just like looking at him. It's like the most like it's so strange, dude. Okay, do not show me that clip without showing me the Justin Fields clip of him like wide open receiver in the back of the end zone, and he throws that thing like 10 yards over the guy's head. That was so bad. And now we're just going through NFL
it's
because we're legally required to do that.
all right. Let's
Yeah.
get this one off, Raj. I'm gonna let's move
let's-
on, Raj. Raj is no longer
All
gonna
right,
screen
that's a little bit.
sharing,
Yeah,
privileges.
edits.
Yeah, I just think training camp is weird, and so you get all these stories coming out, and it's just like I've heard from the Chiefs side that Juju Smith is like wide receiver number 1, that he's like ready to take all those snaps, and I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not. Like,
Yeah.
who knows?
I have a pretty good example.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's from training camp.
He's
Oh, I
dropping
remember this,
passes.
yeah.
He's so bad. Yeah.
Jamar Chase was getting dogged on before the season started.
Well, because you hate LSU. That's why.
Yeah, I was probably contributing just
Shut
a little
up,
bit
you
to that
do.
too. Like
Oh my god.
I don't hate LSU. No, I don't. I legitimately don't. You know, this is why. When I've been seriously watching Alabama, Bama has lost to LSU twice. So there's it's technically yes, it's somewhat of a rivalry game, but it's more so one-sided game. It's not like Auburn or Clemson where they've beaten us multiple times in heartbreaking fashion. So, but anyways, no, when Jamar Chase was dropping, he was dropping passes and all that, I was probably contributing a little bit to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he just had the best season by a rookie receiver ever. So it kind of gets blown out of proportion.
It's
And
an
Peter, you totally had me with
example.
what you were saying until you had
Did
to
you even
mention
hear a
Daniel
word
Jones.
I said?
I'm not
in
gonna
that?
lie, that kind of just.
Or fine, I'll go with Kenny Pickett. Everybody's saying he's terrible.
I
he's
heard what you
underthrowing it,
said. I
whatever.
heard what you said.
Mike Tomlin has come out and said
Daniel.
Trubisky's going to be our starter, but it's a fight between Mason Rudolph and him for 2. But he said it's not guaranteed that Mitch is playing the entire season. Because he's saying it's this is going to be a full competition. They're both playing very well. So
Yeah,
there
I
you
can
go.
see that. I mean, yeah, Mason Rudolph's gotten dogged on for in-season performance, but he's apparently been playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Apparently, Mitch Trubisky didn't
But
play
this
that
is
well.
my
in
exact
practice
point, right?
today,
You're like,
and then
oh,
Kenny Pickett
apparently
played well today.
Mason
So
Rudolph
it's
is
always
playing
changing.
really well in
So, yeah.
practice. Mitch was and Kenny was good. And now you're gonna make assumptions off of that, which just that's what the whole media does and all fans do, and it's just super reactionary.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'll see when game 1 of the season happens and make my assumptions from there.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're having some Wi-Fi issues today, so if you made it this far in the podcast, thanks for listening. I think we're going to end it here a little bit early, just make sure that we don't lose our entire recording. It's been a rough day on the pod, technical side of the pod thing. So, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Make sure you go subscribe to our socials down below. Use codes WASH20 at fuckedup.com, and we will see you next time on the Washed Athlete Podcast.
Peace, everybody. Stay safe.